Yes, welcome to the Rising Phoenix Business Community. I am Sandy Corrigan, one of your co-hosts, and I'd like to welcome my other co-host, Tom Corrigan.
Hey, everybody. Glad you're here.
And Chuck Blakeman, of course.
Good morning, and I interrupt this regularly scheduled podcast to give you a bright moment in your day. Please come down. No, we've been on 3 walks today already.
This would not be our dog, though. She is ready to go any minute.
This is Bob. He's been stuck in his house with just the dog for a week now. The dog is ready to climb the walls.
That's hilarious.
I told Chuck this morning that if this goes on any longer, all of my clothes are going to be so covered with my German Shepherd's hair that I'm going to have fur clothes. Anyway, welcome everybody. Go take it away, Tom.
Hey, let's get a quick rundown of the format of this broadcast, this show today. We're going to offer some inspiration and then introduce people who've been knocked down and got back up or had to shift or pivot in order to sustain what they're doing to serve their clients or to even move forward in the market. And then we move into an area called the bottleneck, and that's where people can present a challenge, opportunity, or problem that they're having a hard time embracing, and give them a few minutes to explain it and ask them clarifying questions from you. And then we're going to rain ideas on that person because it's the wisdom of crowds that gets to reign in this moment. And then we're going to have a special segment from Chuck on something really important that I don't know about yet, but he's going to fill us all in together. It'll be enlightening and revealing, for sure. And then we're going to ask you to share what we call a BFO. Everybody know what a BFO is? I'll fill you in. Blinding flash of the obvious, or a big aha. Something you like learned today, or something that you went, oh gosh, I can put that into use. And then we're just going to finish with a moment focused on why community is so dang important right now. And anybody who's been sitting at home, working at home for the last couple of weeks probably will appreciate that more than just about anything. So we call this the Rising Phoenix Business Community. And why is that, Sandy?
Well, because we all probably know the story, right? Here's our website, the Rising Phoenix Business Community, of the Phoenix, which is a mythical bird that lives about 100 years, and every 100 years settles into its nest, and the nest is lit, and the old bird burns up, and a new thing emerges. And so that is what we thought about when we thought about that's the time we're in, right? That's so much of the old is gone, so much of the normal is now going to be a new normal. And so, Chuck, you're going to give us some ideas of how we can thrive as rising phoenixes in the environment we're in.
Thank you. Yes, Sandy. And I want to invite everybody. There's no audience here. We're all participants. We're all in this together. So you got to work just like me when you're on this podcast. So if you don't know what Zoom is, you move your cursor around on the screen, and a bar will pop up at the bottom. And you can see a big green bar, share screen. Don't hit that one, but or a big green square. But right beside that is chat. And click on the chat button, and you'll see something open up beside that. And it says everyone at the bottom. If you want to talk to just one individual, you can do that. But if you have everyone, you can talk to everyone. And I'm going to invite you to put ideas in here as I talk about this today. So our thought for today, to just get us started on a Monday morning, to be encouraged and motivated to press forward, is that in my first book, I talked about the roller coaster treadmill of business. And this is the idea that business goes up and down and up and down. And our objective is to figure out how to smooth out that roller coaster treadmill. Sometimes it happens to us. And on a roller coaster, what are people doing on the way down? Shout it out. Who's got it? Hit your space bar and shout out. What are people doing as soon as they go over the top?
Screaming.
They're screaming. We just went over the top, people, and we're all screaming. And and the difference between this and a roller coaster is, in a roller coaster, you feign being scared, and here we really are. So we're screaming on the way down. And another difference between a roller coaster and business is that you can actually put on the brakes on the way down, like a kid going down the slides. You can stick your feet against the sides and slow down and hunker down and cocoon and wait it out. There's leadership institutes that are showing their complete lack of leadership by having just dropped all 400 of their people and hunkering down and just waiting it out. That is not the way you are going to get through this. When you study the Great Depression and other recessions, the companies that come screaming out the other side are companies that did not hunker down. They did not slow down. They used the downward momentum of the recession or the economic situation to create as much speed going up the other side as they possibly could. That's why you go down, besides the fact that that's where you get your little scare. The first time you go down, the first hill you go down on a roller coaster is the one that takes you up all the other ones. So if you stick your feet out on the sides, that's going to be a problem. So the question here is, are you busier now than you were before the recession, or are you binge watching Netflix Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, hunkering down, waiting this thing out? You need to be busier than you were. So your activity may have changed. You may not be spending as much money. You may be doing things completely differently, but you need to be figuring out how to stay in front of your clients, how to be present in the world around you. You need to be more visible now than you ever have been. And frankly, most of us have less money than we have time right now. And we need to get where we're running out of time. We need to be just flat out. We're busier now than we have been in years. And we all need to take that tack. So I'd love you to either hit the space bar or put it in the chat room. How are you busy? What are you doing that makes you busier than you are? I see some people saying you might also have to hold your breath. We're busier. We are busier than ever. Much busier, learning and making moves. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I love all that. So give me some ideas on how you've been busier. For instance, this Rising Phoenix business community, this didn't exist before 2 weeks ago. We got this idea Thursday, and on Friday morning, we started building a website, and on Monday morning, we went live. And then we're in our third show. And we've been busier than one-armed wallpaper hangers putting this thing together, along with all the other things we're doing. We've invested so much time figuring out the funding stuff. We'll talk about that later. 10 hours a day in some cases, putting together guides, that kind of stuff. Somebody here says they're getting creative to adapt, retooling the firm to be virtual and more consumer friendly. Boy, aren't we all? We're growing our 3 to 5 clubs all over the world by helping small business owners get off the treadmill and thrive. We're offering delivery services to seniors. Oh, that's such a cool thing. Yeah, one of our 3 to 5 club members owns a food truck, 2 food trucks for the last 15 years, and he just opened 2 brick and mortar locations. Took out huge loans, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's something we're asking him to do, is to begin deliveries to seniors. Getting a new license that complements my current services that we'll be able to use afterwards. Getting mortgage license. Current services are solar installations. So here's somebody who does solar installations who's getting a mortgage license. How dumb is that? No, that's brilliant. That's the kind of adapting and switching that we're going to have to do to ride the roller coaster down. Diversifying our business, taking more work and busy changing what we're doing in order to be more effective. We're dealing with the Paycheck Protection Program, and that's occupied a lot of our time. That's one way you can be incredibly busy right now, is looking at all of the different ways to actually to get funding, to preserve cash, to get cash. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But boy, if you're not spending hours, at least an hour or 2 a day figuring out how to get more money, I don't care how much money you have, you don't have enough. We need to prepare. The mantra here is expect the best. We're going to be out of this in 6 weeks, and prepare for the worst. This is a 5-year depression. So somewhere in there is the truth. And I would suggest that you expect for the best, and then you get as much money as you can, get credit lines, all the other stuff. Many clients coming to us with digital marketing ideas and have time to work on it. And I have more time available from my team. Keeping intentionally connected with coaches and friends. Learning how to do Zoom, that's great. Some of my distributors are concerned they will be seen as benefiting from others who are challenged at this time. They're using the word feeling guilty. How do we help them with this mindset? Well, this might be a great bottleneck later on. When you hear the term bottleneck come up later in the show, you might want to share this as a bottleneck. So, Porg, I think that's you. So you might want to bring that one up as a bottleneck, and we get to hear an Irish accent when we do it. offering 2 free coaching sessions for those stressed out. That's a great one. In just about every industry, by the way, there are people who are scared because all of the business people that they're relying on are in trouble. So, for instance, we have one set of people who came on last week who shared they do metal awnings and metal pergolas and that kind of stuff on commercial buildings. They're sort of the last one to do anything before the landscapers come in, and they rely on all the other contractors. We suggested they put together a mastermind of 8 or 10 contractors of the people who really help them the most, or 15 or 20, and meet every week for an hour and say, how do we help each other? What creative ideas do we have for each other? You can do that in any industry you're in. You can get the 6 or 8 or 10 or 15 people you rely on most to help you with that. Working with vendors, making masks for medical staff. Yeah, and I'll blow Megan's horn here. Every Sunday afternoon, she's making medical masks for with her family. It's awesome. Vicki, thanks for saying that. Working with vendors, talking with clients, figuring out funding, looking to manufacturing wooden items that can be sold online direct to consumers. Starting today to offer free e-commerce stores for local businesses for the next 4 months. All right, so I'm getting great ideas here. These are just wonderful. Looking at new website and that being part of a nonprofit, and looking to do crowdfunding for the project. Somebody completed the EIDL. Great, that's the disaster relief loan. Probably submitting large financing package this week because now's a good time to get in front of the line with direct lenders. Yesterday afternoon, a friend of mine, I don't know if she's on the show, but I won't say her name and I won't say the bank, but she was on a phone call with a bank, and Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin was on the call, and he says $24 billion was pledged on Saturday out of the 349 in one day. 349 billion is available. 24 billion went out in one day. And he's saying, but we're going to ask for more. Well, I wouldn't bank on anything unless it's actually happened already. So expect the best, that they're going to refund this thing, and prepare for the worst. Get your packages in today. Reformatting content that is usually presented in person to an online format. Yeah, we're going to talk to that woman in a minute here. It's such a great idea to collaborate with others and give one another outside eyes and possibly even help to fund those who are struggling. Yeah, and one of the best things you can do, pick a vendor or a partner or a customer a day and call them. Just one. Or email them or text them and say, how are you doing? I got that on Twitter from a friend of mine. Hey, Chuck, we need you around. Don't do anything stupid. Just great to connect with people that way. We should all change our minds on the concept of social distancing. Nobody should be social distancing. We got that terminology wrong. We should physical distance while we socially proximate. We should get socially closer than we ever have. We need people more now than ever. Somebody says, coffee is essential. Yeah, that's going to help. All right, excuse me. Rode my bike. So yeah, that's you got some great ideas here. Let's ride this recession down hard. Let's take it down, and let's be busier than we could possibly have ever been before. Let's figure out how to use the downturn to bring us out so that when we come out the other side, the people who hunkered down, they're going to be pushing their roller coaster carts up the other side, and we're going to be zooming right past them and just keep going. So that's the word of the day. If you're not really busy, make a left turn and figure out what you can do to keep preparing for the next great opportunity. Tom, over to you.
Thanks, Chuck. And we had a chat the other night with Vice President from Key Bank, which is a regional bank here in the States. And she just said, there's a lot of misinformation, of course. Gosh, there's a new idea. Being thrown around, kicked around by a lot of people, especially around the PPP program, that you better get in first because there's a limited amount of money. Should just understand that those loans are going to be resold in the secondary market, which means the money's going to keep coming back. So they'll refund it over and over again. Now, eventually it's going to run out, but it's not going to be tomorrow or next week. So make sure you're putting your mountain of minutia together correctly, so it doesn't get kicked out. And there's a couple of people on here who said that they've completed their PPP over the weekend or on the last week. Well, you guys ought to raise your hand. I ought to do some consulting for the rest of us who are looking at it and going, oh my God.
Yeah, we just heard about an accountant who is charging people like $500 to get the paperwork together and $1,000 of every 10,000 they got or something. It's outrageous, but yeah, maybe you can do it for cheaper.
Hey, one more little comment. Yeah, everybody I am talking to, most people I'm talking to are saying when we get back to normal, I just want to challenge the thinking that normal's gone. That normal does not exist anymore. We're entering into a new normal. Life is going to be different. Yeah, I mean, I'm even a little concerned about using on the other side because it's not going to be like this started on this date and it's going to finish on August 6th or something.
Yeah.
This is a new virus that could become seasonal. I hate to even think about that, but it could be the reality just based on the history of viruses. It's like we have flu season, right? So rather than just say, gosh, I'm planning on going on vacation after this date, make your plans. But I think it's even more important is plan your new normal. What's your exit plan going to look like? And what's your exit plan for tomorrow going to look like? Because we're going to hear from several people here in just a moment who've already figured that out. And first one I like to introduce is Vicki Anglo, who owns Anglo Couture. Is that correct? Yep. Yes. Custom bridal wear and negligees and accessories.
Yes, sir.
You know, Vicki, we might need some of that boudoir attire right now.
Anytime.
I think that's a grand idea.
Whether we're getting married or not.
Yeah.
Anytime. We need to dust those off, because we've been sitting in the back lines for a little bit.
So Vicki, custom bridal wear, et cetera, what's the big challenge?
Well, I mean, events and people. And limiting them to like 5 people at a time, that wouldn't work. So a lot of our clients postponed and canceled. Personally, for my business, there was only 2 clients that postponed their wedding for 2021. So I can't survive with 2 clients, plus this is our busiest season from January all the way to May. This is our busiest sales. So, it was just a little bit of I spent like a weekend refunding people and all this stuff. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do at this point. Like I have to kind of figure out something else. And I did start binging a little bit on Empire, but I haven't watched anymore. So a couple of my friends called and they're like, can you please make us some masks? We need, anything, yada, yada. And I said, I'm not an expert, but I'll give it my shot and I'll try my best. So I, asked them questions about what works best for them, what they're looking for, what is approved to be worn. Because I didn't want to do something that was not going to be approved or they couldn't use. So we started making them to fit over their N95, which is like such a high demand right now. So they absolutely loved it. And then, CNN had us, then they re-showed it. So now I'm getting calls from doctors and facilities to create the actual N95s with materials that they can supply along with the fabric ones. So
Nice.
It's been ridiculously crazy, and we've had to get more people to come in and work. So it's just like, I don't even know. I've never dealt with such high volume, but less amount. Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
Usually our sales are higher amount, but less sales. So
a mask isn't as quite as expensive as a couture wedding dress.
Right, exactly.
Have you rolled out your mask line with the custom beadwork yet?
I swear to God, I totally want to, but I didn't have any time to look at that. These orders keep on coming. It's not even a joke. It's not even funny. Like every time that I feel like we're going to take a breath, it's just insanely like coming back. At this point, I don't even know what's happening. So like, I'm taking it all in. I know that it's such a tragic moment for the entire world. So I definitely am, very, very humbled, and I'm aware of what's happening. But at the same time, I'm trying to just do good at this point. I'm just trying to offer
Awesome.
my service. And it's just has become this big monster, which is amazing.
That's so good. Could you have imagined if somebody would have walked up to you in January and said, guess what? You're
No.
gonna not, you're gonna stop doing this and you're gonna start doing this.
No, and you know what? It's funny because my lease it ends in April 30th, and I was talking with the person that does the management for my building, and she's like, "What are you gonna do? Did you want to do a year? Did you want to do 3? Did you want to do month to month?" And this is prior to this hitting hard, like the whole COVID thing. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Just give me the options, and we'll go from there." And then once I refunded every single client of mine except from the 2, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know if I want to renew my lease at this point, because I don't know if we can survive, and in regards to the loans and the PPEs and all that disaster relief, we are debt free as a business. So for me, locking my doors would be easier than taking a loan out. So I was like, I don't even know what's going to happen here, but this has become just insanely crazy. So
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So inspirational. Your willingness to go, I got to make this mega jump.
I'm learning so much, Tom. I'm learning so much. It's not even funny. Like, I didn't even know that at this age, at this point of my life, at this time, I'm just a creative designer person that loses, my attention every 3 seconds. So I'm learning so much. That's like incredible.
That's
Awesome.
great. Vicki, thanks so much.
Make sure and put your contact information in the chat, Vicki, also. She's got
Okay.
some adorable, fun designs in her.
Because I'm guessing people will continue to get married.
Yes.
So
When-
from a
when this
social
passes.
distance.
Yeah, Zoom marriages. The whole bridal party being together separately.
We did have one wedding that happened. They had canceled everything, but the hotels were allowed to have 10 guests. So the couple had themselves, obviously, and then their immediate family. And then they did, I don't know if they Zoomed or Skyped or what they did with everybody else. So it did happen.
Great.
Thank
you
so
again for
much.
coming on. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. Jesse Aschenberg is an attorney here in the Denver area, bankruptcy expert and estate planning,
divorce.
and a good friend of ours. And he's also a member of 3 to 5 Club here in the Denver area. And Jesse has made a pivot recently and started a online community called Surviving Debt. Jesse,
good morning.
glad to have you here today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I was inspired in part by the Rising Phoenix conversation we had at our 3 to 5 Club. Between that and then doing some freedom mapping with Camtasia, I thought, well, I can do an online community in a sense to where I can share my experience and knowledge regarding debt issues with the public. And it's always been one of my lifetime goals to give back and to educate. And so I gave it a shot. I started a Facebook group called Surviving Debt, and I have over 100 members in 2 weeks. So that kind of took off pretty quickly. And my goal was just with 6.6 million Americans filing for unemployment last week, and learning. I was on a webinar with Dave Ramsey's group last week, and they said that 39% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency, or 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and that was before COVID. That I just wanted to share my experience and tips with the public, and also invite the public to come in and share them with me, because I certainly don't have the corner on everything. And what I just did was I have a great book that I've been using for years called Surviving Debt. That's the name of that's not my book. It's by the National Consumer Law Center. And it's usually a $20 book, but it's the best book on just the nuts and bolts of surviving a cash flow crisis that I've ever read. And I started to do it as a book study, just go chapter by chapter. Well, it comes to find out this book's available for free online right now at the National Consumer Law Center's website, because that's what they're doing to help the community there. And so that sort of was the impetus of the Facebook community page. It's not there to make me money. It's there to help the community. And I am a bankruptcy attorney. It is a significant part of my practice. But the impetus is just really to give back to help people, because I can only imagine I know how stressed I am. I can only imagine how stressed the public at large is. And I'm self-employed, so I can hopefully make some money. I haven't been laid off. So at least I have that going for me. but I don't have a lot of friends who are. So I hope that's a good explanation of what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Jesse, what kind of things will people find on the Facebook community?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I do some discussions of some chapters of that book I held up, the Surviving Death book. I'm posting facts as they come up, Chuck's list of things that we should be looking for. I posted that on the Facebook community. I think he said I could share it, or we could all share it. I did a Facebook Live session about me coming into the office this weekend to finish my PPP application. And hopefully there'll be some Zoom sessions coming up with other experts in the field, be it mortgage brokers or debt management people. Just anything that would be helpful to somebody who's struggling paycheck to paycheck or worse than that.
It's awesome.
Well, that's just such a great example of riding the roller coaster down fast. Think of all the potential clients and future clients, the pipeline that you're building, the trust that you're building by just serving people. One of our mantras is serve, don't sell. And this is a great example of you serving in a way that down the road, you will make a lot more money because you served people, not because you tried to sell them crap. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
Thanks, Chuck.
A session with Jesse. I am a survivor of foreclosure and bankruptcy over 20 years ago, and it's something that is easy to carry shame and guilt around. And Jesse's so fabulous to talk to. There's none of that when you speak to him. He's totally understanding, and so I just appreciate. I said attorneys are intimidating. And so get on there and do Facebook Lives and do some of this content because he is not intimidating. He's very approachable.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Before we jump off, would you make sure in the chat you put, number one, your contact information, the name of the Facebook community, and also would you put that link or the direction for people to get the free book? Surviving?
Absolutely. I'll do that right now.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you, Jesse. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You betcha. And we have one more guest today to talk about a shift. It's Bree Blakeman, who does, generally face-to-face dog training, but can't do that anymore. So Bree, would you jump on with us?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. So I am a certified professional dog trainer, and I have my own company, Noble Wolf, which is typically an in-home consultation business. And then the other half of my job is working for the Oregon Humane Society, teaching group classes and doing workshops for the public. So yeah, it's been an interesting time, but I didn't really give myself time to panic. I just kind of dove right in. And I am transferring 100% of my business with Noble Wolf and the Oregon Humane Society's training and behavior department to an online format utilizing Zoom. So I've been fortunate enough to have filmed almost every single one of the consultations that I've done with my clients in person. And that is to provide them with feedback and content like video notes that they can have after the consultation. And I have always provided handouts and session recaps. So I have loads of content at my fingertips already. So I just took this as a great opportunity to start building an online membership program. So I'm doing not only Zoom consultations that in some ways go even better than in person, because as you know, behavior is affected by the environment. And I'm a really big distraction when I come into your home carrying a bunch of cookies with your dog. So I don't necessarily get to see them in their most natural state. Whereas with Zoom, I actually get to do that. And I'm also able to reference exact videos of any exercise that you can think of. So it's been a really beautiful transition for me, lots and lots of work. I've had to upload all this content online, organize it so I can streamline my consults. And then also for the Oregon Humane Society, I have been building all of our 6-week courses into an online format as well, which definitely takes some reimagining and some creativity.
Bree is your training partner nearby?
Yes, you bet. That's Yuka. Can you see her? There she is. She's
beautiful.
She was ready about like 20 minutes ago. Now she's just ready for a nap. But yeah, so I've been transitioning all of that to online, and it's been going really well. I've been expanding my community from just local to global, and I already have more clients than I did when this started. And a lot of people from New York and Italy and everywhere are who have wanted to work with me in the past, but I haven't been able to do it simply due to travel time and not being able to fit them in. I now get to work with them, and so that's been a really really cool experience. And then of course I'm definitely applying for all the loans just in case, so that this does go on for 5 years, I'm ready for it.
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Chuck Blakeman. Right?
Yeah,
help along the way.
All those years of content creation.
We snuck a family member in here,
Yes, but
we
Bree's
were
incredible. And I want to say, I love your Instagram account, and you need to put your Instagram name in there.
I will.
Both. And she's got all these little great tips on Instagram. Bree, you ought to come on sometime and teach us how to really build our business through Instagram, because yours is so interesting and engaging.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big part of why it was so easy for me to transition to an online format. So this is my office setup right now. And then this is the French press. This part is very important. How I get through my 8 to 12 hour days. And then this is the training center, if I need to demo anything with my own dogs.
The toilet paper.
So there's Yuka and Juno. Yuka's begrudgingly holding a toilet paper roll for me. I took that this morning right when we woke up. She was like, "Why are we doing this?"
I love it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a pretty expensive prop right now, Bree.
I mean, it really is. I'm telling you.
Hey,
dogs
Bree.
are rich.
Hey, Bree. Hello. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Let me just recap a couple of things you said that I thought were really important. One was, you said, I jumped into this without really thinking. That's taking the roller coaster down the other side.
Yeah.
And good modeling on that.
Yes.
And then secondly, you found out you can be more effective online. And third, you've got a bigger market because you're online. So very inspirational for many of us who have been providing local services to go, hey, wait a minute, there's a bigger world outside, of my back door. So.
Yeah, and I just have to say, I mean, most people think of dog training is a very mechanical skill, right? So I'm actually teaching my clients how I'm a coach. I coach them how to train their own dog. So they have to know how to hold the treat, how to hold the leash, how to modify this behavior and understand body language. And I'm not doing, large majority of my cases are like serious behavior cases. I'm not just teaching sitting down and potty training and some of the more basic stuff. I do that as well. But I think it's promising to realize that even with something where you would expect to need the person present in order to modify the behavior, to know that you actually don't, and then to be pushed to actually have to do every piece yourself, guess what? You end up with a better trained dog because you're having to do all the work.
Well, Bree, you and I'll have to keep going offline on this. It's too much fun. Thank you.
Put all your contact information in the chat, Bree, if you would, please.
And put a
Absolutely.
20-second video of training. Put a 20-second video of training in there too. That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome.
I'm actually shocked that this is about training me, not my dog. We'll have to talk about that later on. But
And
we
so-
want to move to
Yeah, we want
bottlenecks.
to move to bottlenecks, and we're super excited to have Marlon Wells with us. And Marlon is part of our 3 to 5 club. Used to be in Aurora, now it's just virtually. And Marlon, tell us what you do and what. So here's how bottlenecks work. Sorry. Marlon's going to explain his problem issuer opportunity,
60 seconds.
right? And then we're going to ask a minute or so of clarifying questions. Then we're going to rain ideas on him. So when that happens, put it in the chat or jump in, because we want to help him with this bottleneck today. And if there's time, maybe we'll get another one in. So Marlon, what's your challenge, opportunity, or issue?
All right, so I run a print shop. We have a print shop in Aurora that does screen print, embroidery, signs, banners, business cards, just about anything that's print, anything that's marketing, anything with a logo on it. We have a physical location, and obviously now we can't really go in and operate and be open to the public. We have been doing some printing, some orders that we already had in the queue taken care of. And our bottleneck right now is really just finding, operate different ways to create some new opportunities based on our current situation. So we're just trying to expand and, not just offer what we normally offer to our normal customers and clientele, like schools and churches and, different places that want shirts, uniforms, things like that. And trying to figure out, some different ways to be able to help people out of the current situation. So one of the things that our ownership group talked about was, just how to help people with remote, parties or whatever, how to be able to effectively get people together without being together. So that was one of the opportunities that we kind of looked at, but we're looking for, just other suggestions.
Okay,
Thanks, Sandy.
now we're going to ask questions.
Thank
You
you.
can type them in the chat box. You can jump in.
Yeah, just clarifying questions to make sure we understand his bottleneck. What are we trying to solve?
Hey, Marlon, are you able to actually print the signs or not? That's the question I have physically.
To print?
Can you print the signs, Marlon?
We can print signs, yeah. So we can go in. We're not open to the public. We can go in and print some things.
What's the biggest obstacle you're facing in this, Marlon, with these ideas right now?
I mean, really, it's, trying to figure on some ideas and logistically how to put them together. So, we've brainstormed some different things, but just additional opportunities to be able to help people during this time.
Can
Marlon,
you deliver?
Go ahead, Chuck.
Can you deliver to people's homes?
We can deliver.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what I heard was inclusively parties, which may include like birthday parties, graduations,
Weddings.
anniversaries, weddings. You can
Vicky can connect. Okay, that's a solution. Sorry.
anything else other than what I mentioned?
And can you ship anywhere?
We can ship anywhere as well.
Wayne has asked, is it possible to embroider a face mask?
It is.
Ah. Okay. Hey,
As well as some other print types. We can print some different ways on face masks as well.
Great.
Oh, can you like screen print on a face mask?
You could screen print, but there's some easier ways to do it.
Okay, so even easier. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now how about if we just rain ideas, and you guys can put your ideas in the chat box and jump in, and then we'll be able to capture them also for Marlon, because we'll give him the notes. So ideas for Marlon. Brandon.
So I just learned about something called low content printing. It's the idea that you can just go on Amazon and print things like diaries and journals. They can sell well, and even if you're not able to produce the journals yourself, you can put them in Amazon's KDP program and they'll print them for you.
Thank you.
And Jesse says branded toilet paper.
I love it.
And Vicky says I have dachshunds I have spas and doctors that want their own logo on it. So you guys definitely, Marlon, you need to stick your stuff in there so you guys can connect.
Yeah, I told Diane about my new thing to make millions yesterday, but I guess it's going to have to be for you, Marlon, because my thing was going to be to create masks with the big yellow smiley face on it and then to actually print people's faces, get a picture of their face, print their face on the mask. So when they put their mask on, you're still seeing their face. You're seeing a big smile. And I think that's totally doable. And you could just, that could be huge.
Right.
Marlon, in our area here in Ferrybank, we have a couple of residents have started asking for, vinyl banners. They wanted to thank the frontline staff. A huge amount of people seem to be really anxious to thank all of the people in the health and police and the whole lot. So they want to put up banners. So that's something that you could link up with a community Facebook page and offer that. So I think there's a demand there. And also in Waterford, a lot of the shops have put up signage saying that we're going to be back. Please support us, and we're all in this together. So for retail, and the local Chamber of Commerce actually jumped on that idea and promoted it to all of their members, because they see it as a great unified way of saying we're all together in this, and there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Somebody else said sports team masks. That's brilliant. So we can all support our sports team that is not playing right now with our mask.
So Marilyn, you're in a 3 to 5 club with a fellow equestrian like Tom and I had someone offer to make masks, and they're making me horse fabric masks and cowboy and Western stuff. So you have a whole industry that anything horse would love that kind of mask.
That's so true. I want a mask that says, "I'm not sick."
Or how about a motorcycle industry? Like, think of all the industries that you could customize, right, with fabric or screen printing or logos.
So
and then T-shirts, Marlon, T-shirts. Oh my goodness, that was my other $1 million idea. The T-shirt, the I can't find this T-shirt. It says I couldn't find, and then you have a word, whatever it is, a mask, an open restaurant, a friend, fill in the blank. So many thousands of things we can't find around. All I could find was this lousy T-shirt.
And I like Jim Martini's idea. I think there may be an opportunity for matching shirts for Zoom call parties, or a uniform to help at-home students and workers keep all the days from blending together, or maybe a social media contest to come up with the best designs for masks and shirts. Great ideas.
And Vicky Anglo said you guys need to partner, so you guys should connect.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So that's awesome.
Chuck, you've been working hard putting together a survival guide for us.
Well, I want to first, before we go into that, I just want to check in with Marlon. Does that help?
Yes, very helpful. So some of the things, obviously we've brainstormed already, and some new ideas. So definitely helpful.
You have to be
expound
busy
upon what we've thought about already.
You've got to be busier than a one-arm paper hanger right now, just with all these ideas, man. If you're not going to do these things, I'm going to go do them.
And you know what I love about this, Marlon, is you get to think about helping people have joy and celebration, right? And that's really important right now. So
awesome.
I have one other thing to add to Marlon. It might be useful to actually connect with other people who have a good social media following.
Yeah.
So they can actually talk about your work. Yeah.
Yeah. Find those.
We're all glad to do that.
Find those gate openers. Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did want to just.
No, not at all. No, you were right. I wanted to close the loop with Marlon, make sure this was actually helpful. So Chuck has been working lots and lots of hours trying to sort through the multitude of information and misinformation and re-information to try to give us a guide to simplify how do we access the money, what are we supposed to do, and so we can more than survive right now, we can actually thrive. So Chuck, tell us what you've been working on.
You bet. So we're working as soon as the stimulus started to come out, I tortured myself by actually watching the news. Please don't do that. Let me watch it for you and give you a quick written guide here and there. But we've been watching the news. We've been reading everything we can. I've been in some cases getting up at 3:30 in the morning and going 4 o'clock and going to bed at 10, just figuring out the stimulus stuff and figuring out all the other things beyond that. I think the stimulus package is probably half the story. The other half is private companies doing things that you're not aware of and things you can do yourself that have nothing to do with the stimulus package. So we put together over the last 7 days, we put together a funding guide in this. And the reason we did this is because we wanted to be the 457,000th funding guide out there. No, that's not why. It's because every funding guide I've been given is a day and a half to 2 to 3 days old and is completely irrelevant because of that. Everybody's taking this idea and putting it out there and saying, here's your guide to the funding, and it's wrong. I just got one from a senator who sent it out yesterday, and it's grossly out of date. It's 4 days old, and there's so much misinformation in there, it's not funny. It's not on purpose. It's just that the government, the SBA, the feds, they can't figure out what they want yet, and they keep changing the rules. On Wednesday, I turned in a 1.5-page application for a certain loan, and Friday at 5, it became 179 pages overnight. It was just, so this thing is changing so rapidly, there's no way to keep up with it. So what did we do? We decided we'd throw our hat in the ring. So you can go to the site here and get this thing. And you go to the site and you put in your name to give us your email address. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to spam you mercilessly. Or because we know that this thing is changing so rapidly that we're going to be doing this, we're going to be putting out an update probably every other day. And we want to be able to send it to you immediately with the updates in it. So here's the Surthrival. We don't want you just to survive. We want you to thrive. The Surthrival Funding Guide for Business Owners. You can see it has to do with what you can do as an individual and private funding, ways you can conserve cash. And then here's the 2 stimulus programs that are in the stimulus package, along with 5 other ways to find cash. Payment deferral programs, ways you can help fund other people. And we put this first one together. We published it on Friday, and Saturday morning, it was irrelevant. So this is version 2 that's on our website right now. And the nice thing about this is if you got the first one, all you have to do is go look for the yellow and you'll see what we updated. And the next version will come out in 2 or 3 days. That's going to be version 3. So we're all going to have one of these. And I know for our international friends, they're saying, well, this doesn't apply to me. No, I'd say the only thing that doesn't apply to you are the two things in here about the stimulus package. Everything else in here, there's something here that you can get ideas from on how to conserve cash and how to find cash, because those are the two things we need to do right now. So go to, we'll put the website in there, Rising Phoenix businesscommunity.com. Put that in there and click on that and put your address in there. We'll also just send this out to you, and then you can give us your email address if you find it on the internet, or Jesse sent it out to all his friends. Right there on the front page, it says, give us your email at grow@cranksetgroup.com so we can update you. Because otherwise, every single one of these, as soon as we put it out, is going to be irrelevant. I also heard through the grapevine, through a very reliable grapevine, only secondhand, that Mnuchin had also said there's going to be another funding that's going to be called something like Main Street Lending Program. That's going to be coming out in a few days to a week, and that's going to be a nightmare to navigate, and that's going to change 7 times. So this is going to go on for a month or more. So we've got to stay on top of this, and this could be one of the things you should be looking at every day: is how do I fund my business to keep me going in this time? All right. So that's enough on that.
I just wanted to add, Chuck, for our international people, my recommendation is just add the things that are relevant.
Yeah, send them to us.
Send it to us, and we can add it, or send it to your
Yeah, I'll put that in there. Grow@cranksetgroup.com. If you find things that are relevant to Ireland, let's put them in there. And
we'll have grow at Crankset or grow to 3 to 5, Chuck.
Grow at 3 to 5. Thank you.
Grow at 3to5club.com.
Yep, just put that in there.
Those of you who are online from Canada and other countries, there's still a lot in here that applies to you.
Yeah, a lot of this is in principle.
Cash, right? So don't think just because it was U.S. made that it doesn't help. So I personally am waiting for the curbside pickup money offer. I can just call ahead and drop by, and they're going to hand me a bag of cash. But I haven't heard about that one yet. Jesse, maybe you can help us sort that out. We want to finish up with what we call BFOs, blinding flash of the obvious, or a big aha, or holy cow, I hadn't considered that. And you can jump on, you can unmute yourself, jump on, or you can put it in the chat box, whichever works for you. But this is really important as well, because again, it's part of the wisdom of crowds to go, because you might say something somebody else been thinking, but wasn't able to speak, and then it really solidifies it. So BFOs.
Yeah, things that you got out of here that encourages you to have a great week this week that others would love to hear.
Thanks, Tom. Don't slow down, speed up. How about Bart? You got anything?
Yeah, I really like the idea of picking a vendor that I partner with, give them a call, and just really trying to figure out, wonder if I could put a logo on a mask and give those out to my clients.
Great idea. Thank you. You know who to call.
Somebody said, what if you do feel guilty about applying for a loan you don't need anymore? You don't know what you're going to need is my response to you, and encouragement. And last week, I think I mentioned, go listen to Brene Brown's podcast on comparative suffering, because we don't need to compare our situation to someone else's. There's always someone better off. There's always going to be somebody, that's not as well off, and you might be the solution to somebody else's need in the future. So,
and I'll be really honest, having spent 6 years in the federal government, you would be better off getting that money yourself and figuring out what to do with it. If you feel guilty, I'm certain you can find somebody locally that will really appreciate it, that won't have to go through the loan process, won't be able to go through it. So, man, get every penny you can, and then make it go where it's going to be most effective, because somebody in Washington doesn't have a clue what we actually need.
And there is one more thing, is that when we actually buy something, it's actually has a far reach out there. It helps other people who are providing the product. So we can't be judge of, okay, who's getting it, who's not. We can only do the best we can for ourselves, and thinking what else somebody might need.
It's great.
Thank you.
Another BFO from Bree: collaborate with others and add value to your community instead of selling product. And Marlon: don't overthink, do something even if you think it might not be the best thing to do, right? We call that conating, get moving, right?
Yeah,
Get moving.
that's a book I've written that I haven't put out yet. The title is Bad Plans Carried Out Violently, How Real Leaders Lead and Succeed in the Real World. Get after it.
And Jean, you should be more busy than ever. Jean-Marc, sorry. We want to be catching more momentum while others are waiting.
I have one here. It was my birthday in Ireland yesterday, and I believe in serving, not selling. And during the call, I was interrupted, and I got a present. I got a hand-carved phoenix.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. A hand-carved phoenix.
Not brilliant?
Oh
That's awesome.
Well, it looks a lot like an eagle, but we'll take it.
That's right.
Awesome.
Any last BFOs?
Yeah, I'd say we're all we are all startups. Remember how much fun it was when you were a startup. You had no clue what you were doing. You had no clue what you were going to sell, if it was going to work. It was like Jean-Marc said, let's just get out there and do something. Somebody else said that, just get out there and make it happen. Don't overthink it, Marlon said. Just get out there. Amar Baidi says he's a professor at Harvard. 97% of all businesses leave their prime objective in order to be successful. And when I first read that 15 years ago, my question was, really only that many? Only 97%? So we're all leaving our prime objective in some way. Let's get after it. Let's get excited.
And you think back about the amount of creativity that was expressed here today, shifting and thinking, willingness to move into other markets. I just heard about a professor who, with $18 worth of parts, PVC parts and stuff, was able to create a respirator and has actually submitted the plans to the FDA or whatever for approval. $18 respirator that you can put together in about 12 minutes.
And I just noticed one of our STEM schools where you live, Chuck, fired up their printers and their 3D printers to start making things as well. So there's a lot of excitement and innovation and creativity focus on right now. And that would be a better focus than most of the news out there.
Hey, just FYI, we offer 3 to 5 clubs around the world, and we're going to offer a couple more virtually. The meetings like this, you've experienced some aspects of 3 to 5, but it really is focused on helping you learn how to think and do differently so you can thrive in the midst of community. And if you're interested in that, just pop us at Grow at 3 to 5 and say, hey, I'd like to know more, and we'll reach back to you.
And next week in our 3 to 5 clubs, we're really going to be focusing on digging into this guide, correct, Chuck? And
Yes.
that piece and looking at, digging in deeper around what we can do to collaborate, support, serve, help one another through this.
You bet.
So I think, 3 to 5 clubs and really Crankset Group were based on, the pillars of content, connection, and community. And this is definitely a time where I am feeling like I have got to work hard at staying connected. I get to live with Tom on our ranch with our horses and our dog. But I'm missing my kids and my family and my grandkids. Thank God for Zoom and technology and FaceTime. But, what are we going to do to be the influencers and the hope givers and create some light and joy in the world? What are we going to do this week to reach out? And so wherever you can get community, I do a virtual happy hour on Fridays to connect with girlfriends and just laugh and, share and cry together. So what can you do to be innovative, to just simply connect and create more, just more for one another as we get through this? And I want to share one of the quotes that I have for us, because we always end our clubs with a quote. And this one happens to be by a really smart guy named Albert Einstein. And it says, "We have to do the best we can. This is our sacred human responsibility." And if there was ever a time where we all got to dig deep into maybe the dreams or the things that we just have always wanted to do, now's the time to do it, right? Now's the time, even if it's a hobby. I said yesterday, my friend Mitch Samu did a FaceTime live. He's a musician on Broadway stuff. And I said, okay, I think I might do a virtual concert because I sing. And Mitch said, you think? Aren't you just going to do it? And I'm like, okay, you have 2 tracks. So what can you do right now to bring some joy and inspiration and contribution to the world?
Beautiful.
Chuck, any last thoughts? Tom, any last thoughts?
I would just go with what Tom Fanning said. Rudders only work when boats are moving. Get moving.
So true. Hey, thanks so much for those of you who have joined us today. Help us get the word out. We all know other business people. We're really trying to just build a community, and we appreciate each of your responses and participation. And
Chuck brought the website up here again. Here's where you can submit your story or somebody else's, or get them to submit, and also a bottleneck. And we really do need your help in posting this on your social media and your other networks, or even emailing your database of business owners, because this is a place where we can connect together. And gosh, it's inspirational just being on this every week. So help us get the word out if you would.
There are links on the page, on the homepage as well, to go back and revisit this meeting or the previous meetings. You can direct your friends there. This is a work of passion on our part, and we hope we brought some value to you today and some encouragement. This is Monday. Let's go out and make a week of it, and not just survive and suck up and try to make it through. But let's go out and thrive.
Yeah, and we had a couple people ask, and I noticed, Chuck, you put on here, we had a couple people ask how they could even help fund this, because it's all out of our pockets right now. And so there is a GoFundMe piece. Again, we just want to serve you, but some people are looking for a place to be able to contribute that way too. So there it is.
Thanks so much. That's kind of you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ride that roller coaster.